Yo, welcome back. Another episode of the Damn YouTube Sports Talk Show. This your boy Ralph Sneaks, live in full effect. Bring y'all another episode, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you want to head over to the social media platforms, IG, if you want to follow my personal page at Ralph_Sneaks, the sports page, Damn_YouTube_ Sports Talk. And if you're on X, Twitter, you can head over there and follow me on Damn YouTube Sports Talk as well. But we got another episode, man. Been a few days, a couple things been happening in the NFL. We're gonna get to it on episode 10. A couple quarterbacks got paid. A lot of money was paid out. A hell of a lot of money was paid out um, by some QBs. Um, and I really been asking myself and like just trying to figure out like what makes. And everybody got their own opinion about what makes the quarterback the highest paid, you know, position. You know what I mean? What makes the quarterback that guy to get the most money? You know what I mean? It's a lot that can be said that go into that. Um, but your quarterbacks are not necessarily your best players on the team. And me personally, I think the best player on the team should get paid the most. If you're not the best player, then you should be getting paid the most. Some teams, the quarterback is the best player, uh, and a lot of teams, the quarterback is not the best player, but he's the most paid player. And which puts a bind on a lot of other players. You know what I mean? A lot of other players don't get the money. I guess it works out if you got a system about what position you're gonna pay, what position you're not gonna pay, and you're gonna stick to that, and you good at drafting around um, those positions and drafting well at other positions to keep teams intact, to keep teams competitive. If you good at getting out on top of issues sooner rather than later, if you're good at structuring things within the contract to make it team friendly when it comes to signing other guys, if you're good at, making trades to get back just as good of a talent, um, or replacing talent with just as good of a talent on cheaper deals. I mean, it's a lot go into that. But I'm looking at some of these quarterbacks because you just had Tua get paid and you just had Jordan Love get paid. Uh, Tua is what 55 million a year. I think he got like 93 million, and he's getting 53.1 million a year. He has 93, a little over 93 million in fully guaranteed money. I think they structured his contract some type of way where they can get off of it in the back end without him hurting or doing any real damage. You're looking at a quarterback like Tua, who really ain't been healthy since he's been in the league. Um, he's been dealing with concussion issues. We all saw them back-to-back weeks or back-to-back games where he had an ugly concussion. The first game was against Buffalo. I think it was at home against Buffalo, and he stumbled off the field. And somebody in that organization, lost their job uh, behind not only that, but the one that came in a short week that Thursday night up in Cincinnati, which we seen him get sacked, and it was an ugly sight. I mean, it was ugly. It was. It was. I mean, that was ugly. Um, and what you seen his head snap back off the turf, and then he got up, he's twisting his fingers, and he was out of it. He was out of it. Um, and then he came into the league injured. You know what I mean? If you follow Tua his career at Alabama, he had the hip, and then he had the nose, and then he had the leg. Yeah, I mean he was having all kind of injuries at Bama, and really hadn't been. He hasn't had that kind of injury in the NFL, but it's the concussions um, that I'm concerned with. But if they structure this contract to where it won't hurt them in the long run, then I guess it's good. You know what I mean? You're looking at the quarterback down there. You're looking at Tua down there with Mike McDaniels in Miami. That's the guy that fit what they do. So I don't think that the Miami Dolphins will be in a position to draft a quarterback. Um, they're gonna be down in the 20s picking. My guess. So they won't be in position to get one of those top tier quarterbacks coming out in this year's draft. So they had to do what they had to do, and I'm quite sure they structured it, with the same things in mind that I just mentioned. They don't want to go into this contract and be tied up and you know be limited because of how this contract is structured. So I guess they structured the contract where it's team friendly and both sides benefit. Tua get his money, and then they can move off of Tua if need be later on in this contract. Then you had Jordan Love, who got his paper. He got paid too. Um, he was holding out of camp, but I don't think it was an ugly holdout. I think it was just a holdout, just to see, waiting on Tua, in my opinion, because as soon as Tua got his deal, then came Jordan Love afterwards and got his deal. So I don't think it was just an ugly holdout, um, because the two sides couldn't see eye to eye, and it wasn't a good relationship between the two sides. I just think Jordan Love was holding out. He was actually at camp, he just wasn't participating. But I think it was just more so they was just trying to figure out the numbers and mainly wait on Tua to see what he got. So I don't think it ever was a doubt, and it never was a doubt in my mind. I don't think it ever was a situation where they wasn't going to pay Jordan Love. They was going to pay Jordan Love because unlike, and I know Green Bay has been doing that now, having a quarterback ready to go behind that guy. They had Aaron Rodgers behind Favre, and then they had Jordan Love behind Rodgers. But I don't know who they got behind Love now, and it's too early to be saying that because Jordan Love's career is just really getting started. So they don't have an insurance policy behind Love the same way they had Love as insurance policy behind Rodgers, and Rodgers was insurance policy behind Favre. They don't have that. So Love was going to get his money, especially looking at the division where another rookie quarterback, well, actually two more rookie quarterbacks are in the division now with J.J. McCarthy in Minnesota. And Caleb Williams, first overall pick, is a Chicago Bear now. Now, the Chicago Bears have been historically known for defense, more so than offense, but now they look like a damn good offense on paper with Caleb Williams over there, having DJ Moore already been over there, drafting Rome Medusa, and then bringing in Keenan Allen and DeAndre Swift, and having Cole Kmet there. So on paper, offensively, they look good. So you now have to have a Jordan Love in that division, and not to mention what the Detroit Lions did last year, and what they projected to do again this year. Um, and having JJ McCarthy, rookie quarterback, which, like I said, I'm not expecting much from Minnesota, but it's still a young quarterback. Um, so you need Love. There was never a doubt in my mind that they wasn't gonna pay Love. I just didn't think it was gonna be 55 million worth a year. And I think Joe Love got like 100 million in fully guaranteed money. So I didn't think it was gonna be 55 million a year. But they got the guy. They got him locked in. He's at camp participating now. As far as these other quarterbacks getting top tier money, um, you look at the record. I did some number. I did some math on this. Uh, those guys are below 500 in playoffs. You just go down the list. You look at Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, Tua, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert. Well, actually, let me just read these quarterbacks and they play in their records, playoff records. You got Joe Burrow at 55 million a year. Um, he's 5-2 in the playoffs, and he has a Super Bowl appearance. Didn't win the Super Bowl, but he got there, right? So you got Trevor Lawrence, 55 million a year. He's 1-1 in the postseason. You look at Jordan Love, 55 million a year. Those three are top for highest paid quarterbacks right now per year. It's 55 million a year for Jordan Love. He's 1-1 in the playoffs. Tua, he's 53.1 million, and he's 0-1 in the playoffs. Jared Goff, 53 million. He's 5-4 in the playoffs, and he also has a Super Bowl appearance. Didn't win, but he got there with the LA Rams. Justin Herbert, 0-1 in the playoffs. Had a 27-point lead at Jacksonville and blew it in the second half. He's 0-1 in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson, 2-4 in the playoffs, but he got MVPs. So you know what I mean. You got an MVP quarterback. So that makes up for a lot. But he's still under 500 in the playoffs. He's 2-4. Jalen Hurts 2-3 in the playoffs, and he has a Super Bowl appearance. Didn't win it, but he got there. Kyler Murray, he's 0-1 in the playoffs. Deshaun Watson, he's 1-2 in the playoffs, and that's his Houston days. Because he hadn't done nothing since he's been over there in Cleveland. Now, I know a lot of that had to do with him being suspended for the situation with the sexual assault allegations and all that, with all the women that came out this, that, and third, combined with the fact that's probably got to do something to you, having that many women come out accusing you of doing doing this and doing that, sexual assaults, this, that, and third. So a lot of that plays into his bad, play over there in Cleveland. And Cleveland's still, he's got to have a bounce back season this year, and he got a fully guaranteed contract. So all $230 million of his contract is fully guaranteed. And you look at the Cleveland Browns, they gave up like 6 picks to get Deshaun Watson, and 3 of those 6 picks were first rounders. So, giving up 3 first round picks, 6 picks total, and 3 of them being first rounders, giving him a $230 million contract in which it was all fully guaranteed. All $230 million of them dollars is fully guaranteed. And he's 1-2 in the playoffs, and he hadn't got you to the playoffs since he's been there. And that was in 2022 when he got traded over there. I think it was like 2022 when he got traded over there. So, then you're looking at Pat Mahomes and Kirk Cousins making the same money a year, $45 million a year. And Kirk Cousins only got 1 damn playoff win, and that came at the New Orleans Saints. Now, the following week after that win at the Saints, they went to San Fran and lost. But he had better completion percentage at San Fran, the game he lost, in which in New Orleans, the game he won. He had a better completion percentage in San Francisco in that game than he did in the game he won in New Orleans. How that worked, I don't know. But that's the only playoff win he got was at New Orleans. And he's getting the same money as Pat Mahomes per year, $45 million a year. The guarantees and all this stuff is different, but $45 million a year, he's still there. Now, you're looking at Pat Mahomes. Since being drafted in 2018 to Kansas City, we're not even going to go by the playoff wins. Let's just go by the resume, and that'll give you a general idea how many playoff wins he got since he's been in the league with Kansas City. He got 6 AFC Championship game appearances. And you don't just get to an AFC or NFC Championship game appearance by making the playoffs. You actually have to get in and win the game and then move on to the next round to have a chance at the AFC or NFC Championship game. So he got 6 AFC Championship game appearances. Out of those 6 AFC Championship game appearances he's won 4 of them because he's been to 4 Super Bowls. And the Super Bowl is the game after the AFC or NFC Championship game. So he done won 4 of those 6 to get to the Super Bowl. And out of the 4 Super Bowl appearances, he done won 3. So that tells you the type of wins that how he been winning in the playoffs, right? So I don't know, bro. I be sitting here looking at the numbers and be thinking like, how the hell is these quarterbacks getting paid so much, and these other players at these positions be having to hold out for their money? Because you got a situation in New England now with Judon, the DN over there. And they got a first-year head coach in Gerard Mayo over there. So he holding out. He's at camp holding out, which I don't understand that. It's like if you're going to hold out the same way with Jamar Chase. He's at camp, but he's holding out, not participating. Like, if you're going to hold out and don't show up to camp. Why the hell are you showing up to camp and just to walk the sidelines and not participate? I understand you're trying to be a good teammate. You're not trying to be a cancer to the team or the locker room or the other guys. And I understand you just want your money. If you had your money, you'll be out there. But, I don't think Jamar Chase is going to get his money this year because they just franchise tag T. Higgins, and then you got Joe Burrow getting his money. And I don't think Cincinnati has to give him money this year. He can play this season out, and once T. Higgins come off of that franchise tag, then they will give him his money. I think that's how it's going to play out. I don't think the situation is going to get ugly between Jamar Chase and Cincinnati. I think this is just like a little light holdout to let them know that, hey, I want to get paid. I want my money, and I don't want y'all to shortchange me because what I'm doing now could get worse next time around if you don't pay me. But I think he's going to eventually end the holdout and go. Well, I ain't gonna say go to camp because he already there. He just not participating while he there, which I don't understand that. If you're gonna do that, just do the CD Lamb route. Just don't show up. You know what I mean? That tells them that lets them know you're real serious. But when you say you're holding out and then you show up to camp and you walking around the sideline laughing and joking with the guys, that the front office is looking at that. They don't take that holdout serious. They say, okay, he's gonna get fined. We'll fine him a little bit, and then he's gonna hold out. He's gonna end the holdout shortly. This ain't gonna last long. This ain't gonna get ugly because obviously he's here. He's just not participating. Now, if he wasn't here, that'd be a different story. That would be, an indication of something much more serious than just being here and not participating. You know what I mean? But um, you got these guys making all this money, and like I said, if you add up the playoff records, they're below 500. They're 17-20. Um, and there's only 3 guys on that list that has made Super Bowl appearances. There were 4 guys on that list that's made Super Bowl appearances. You got Joe Burrow, you got Jared Goff, you got Jalen Hurts, and you got Pat Mahomes. Those are the only 4 guys on that list that I just named that have Super Bowl appearances. And the only one that has won Super Bowl would be Pat Mahomes. You know, Jalen Hurts lost to Pat Mahomes. Then you got Jared Goff, who went and lost. Um, then you got Joe Burrow that went and lost. So you know, Pat Mahomes is the only one that won on that list. You know, Joe Burrow went and lost to the Rams. You know, Jared Goff went while he was with the Rams and lost. And Jalen Hurts took the Eagles to the Super Bowl and they lost to Pat Mahomes. So, you know, now and, you know, get paying the quarterback all this money is compromising the rest of the team because now you look at the situation what you got in Dallas. You know, you got 3 guys you got to pay. You're looking at Michael Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, like I said, who's holding out, not at camp, and then you got Dak Prescott. So now that the market has went up to 55 million a year, what is that? What is Dak gonna get? Is Dak worth 57 or 58? Because you got the situation that's gonna be coming up with Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Is he worth 57 or 58? Are they gonna pay him like that? Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, um, has a Super Bowl appearance. He didn't win. He lost to Pat Mahomes, and he slid right in. And really, to be honest with you, San Francisco is lucky that Brock Purdy turned out to be what Brock Purdy is so far. Because remember, San Fran gave up a lot to move up to take Trey Lance, and that experiment didn't work. As Trey Lance is no longer with the team, he's in Dallas as a backup. So having Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick of the draft, and what was that, 2022, come in and take them to a Super Bowl in which they didn't win, but they got there. And then you look at the rookies. I think that was Brock Purdy's rookie season in which he lost in the NFC Championship game to the Eagles the year prior, in which he got hurt in that game, and then the backup quarterback came in, played for a few, and then he ended up getting hurt, and then they had to run Christian McCaffrey with the Wildcat the rest of the way. So, and you could argue that if Brock Purdy hadn't got hurt in that game, there was a damn good chance that the San Francisco 49ers would have been in the Super Bowl playing the Kansas City Chiefs back-to-back years. Instead of the Eagles and Jalen Hurts advancing, it probably one could argue that it could have been San Francisco because San Francisco was in that game about as long as they could stay in that game, dealing with the injuries that they were dealing with. Both quarterbacks out, and then Christian McCaffrey had to run Wildcat the rest of the way. So they did about as much as they could do to stay in that game, and wasn't enough. And the score didn't indicate exactly, you know, nobody predicted that was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? You can't predict 2 quarterbacks who go out. You know what I'm saying? And you got to run Wildcat the rest of the way. I think that score ended up being something like 31-7 or something like that. But it was a tight game early, and then when it just all went to hell when everybody got hurt. When people started flying, when people started falling and getting hurt. And then that's when the game started to kind of the momentum swung, and then Philly ended up taking advantage of that and winning the game against the Super Bowl. But one could argue that if Brock Purdy didn't get hurt, they had a damn good chance to beat the Eagles in Philly and go to the Super Bowl. And that would have been back-to-back Super Bowl appearances for Purdy in the 49ers playing Pat Mahomes in the Kansas City Chiefs back-to-back years. So you're looking at a situation like that, which worked out for San Francisco, having Mr. Irrelevant come in and do what he's done after they didn't trade it all the way up to get Trey Lance, and that experiment didn't work. So, and he fixed the system. So, you know, are you going to pay Brock Purdy 56, 57 million? Because, you know, he doesn't have the same options as a first round quarterback. He ain't got the 50 options as a first round quarterback. So And I think that's what's going on in San Francisco in the Brandon Ayuk situation. They're not going to pay Brandon Ayuk that kind of money. It's just a matter of time before they move Brandon Ayuk. And I'm looking at a situation in which you got a disgruntled Judon out there in New England. I'm looking at a situation where New England still got a ton of cap space. They could make a trade right there. They could. San Francisco could send Brandon Ayuk over to New England, and New England could send the pass rusher Judon over to San Fran. Now, whether San Fran pays him or not, that's something different. Because if you don't pay him, it'll just be a 1 year rental. Because he's gonna want a contract. This is why he's holding out in New England. So if he gets to San Fran and he doesn't get a contract, then that's to be I don't know. That's to be determined if that trade happens. I'm just saying, that just popped in my head while I was talking San Francisco in the Brandon Ayuk situation, and they already drafted Brandon Ayuk's replacement, the kid out of Florida. I think Ricky Purcell is his name, the wide receiver. So he's on a rookie deal. So that's gonna get Brandon Ayuk money out of there, his contract out of there. They got a rookie wide receiver that they just drafted to replace him, and then they're going into a situation where they can pay Brock Purdy. And I don't know if they make the trade, are they gonna pay Judon or not? Because he would just essentially be replacing him what they traded for and got Chase Young last year. Chase Young no longer with San Francisco; he's over there with the Saints, I believe. So you'll just be getting another pass rusher to replace the pass rushing and Chase Young you lost, who, by the way, turned out not being the better of the two they had in Washington between him and Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat with the Bears, and since joining the Bears, he's led them in sacks. So Montez Sweat actually turned out to be the better of him between him and Chase Young. But Chase Young was just a bigger name. But Montez Sweat actually turned out to be the better player so far. And I think Chase Young is hurt now, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's coming into camp hurt. He had some off-season surgery or something he's still recovering from. So, you know, what are they going to do in San Francisco with Brock Purdy? They going to pay him 56, 57 million? And if they do that, I don't know what the hell they're going to do in Dallas with Dak, because Dak is going to be, close to 60, if not 60. So the market for QBs, it's starting to get out of hand, because if you pay Dak 60, what are you going to have to pay Parsons? What are you going to have to pay CD? Now, I'm on the fence that if you have a Dak and you have a CD, they got options. It's some options there, and I'm just making this up off the top of my head as I go along. But if you have CD Lamb and you're gonna pay him that kind of money, then in my opinion, if you want to stay competitive, you need to pay Dak, because what quarterback are you gonna be in position to get without trading the farm that's gonna come in and give you Dak Prescott production right away to keep you competitive with paying CD Lamb the kind of money you're gonna have to pay him? So do you find a way to trade Michael Parsons, use those assets combined with the assets you have to move up to get a QB? Or do you just move Michael Parsons, get what you can get, and fill out the roster that way? Because you can't even bring back, and you probably don't want to do it. I'm not sure if you do, if you don't. But, Trayvon Diggs coming back off a torn ACL injury. Deron Bland stepped in. And you don't even have enough to pay guys. You can't even bring in a Stephon Gilmore back. You strapped for cash. You strapped for money. So if you're looking at the situation like, damn, why didn't I get out on this sooner? Because you just seen Jordan Love get 55 a year, Tua get 53, and Trevor Lawrence this offseason got 55. So your top three per year quarterbacks getting paid is Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and Jordan Love. All three of them at 55. And then right up under there is Tua at 53 and Jared Goff at 53. So, if you Jared, the numbers is going to have to start at 56, 55, 56 per year. Probably going to have to end up being closer to 60. So, and it kind of, these numbers kind of compromise. Like I said before, you gotta have a good GM now. These quarterbacks is wanting this money. You gotta have a good GM now. And I'm on the fence to believe that why the NFL can't pay quarterbacks based off of whether they're the best player. I think the NFL should be paying players based off of their performance, whether you're the best player or not. The best player should get paid the most money. And I know it's hard to compare a quarterback to a quarterback to a corner to a running back, a running back to a linebacker to a receiver to a safety to a left tackle. I understand that the positions is different and it's hard to compare players, this, that, and third. So I guess you got to go by importance of position, which get paid. But the quarterbacks on these teams are not necessarily the best players. Now, prime example, Daniel Jones is not the best player on the team, but he's getting 40 million a year. I get Saquon was the best player on the team, but he wasn't the quarterback. Daniel Jones is the quarterback, but he wasn't the best player on the team. Saquon was. But you can throw out there that Saquon had injury history, this, that, and third. But you also can counter that by saying, well, you're paying Daniel Jones 40 million. You couldn't afford to get no offensive line help. You couldn't afford to beef up the offensive line to protect your star player in Saquon Barkley. And I get the NFL don't value running backs the same way that they used to. So, the running back market is down. I get all that. But a lot of Saquon's injuries, you could point at the offensive line and the offense and say, well, if we had a better offense and you wasn't paying Daniel Jones 40 million, or you didn't have Daniel Jones as our quarterback, choosing to keep him over me, a lot of times I probably wouldn't be injured. I'm back there running for my life. I got to run around 5 to 7 yards behind the line just to get. I got to run back lose 5 to 7 yards just to gain 2. So you put additional wear and tear on my body, and you banging me up because I don't have the offensive line protection. I don't have better quarterback play. That you have to rely on me in both running between the tackles, outside the tackles, and you have to rely on me in the pass game because he was catching a lot of passes out of backfield too. So, that's just an example. What are they going to do? Situation like that. He ain't the best player, but he getting paid the most. Usually, I don't even believe that the NFL pay you off upside. I believe the NFL pays you off. Especially at the quarterback position. This is my belief. They don't pay you off upside like um, the NBA do. Because there's tons of guys in the NBA who you look at their contracts and you be like, damn. You look at their stats and their stats don't even add up to the contract that he got. But they're paying these guys because they're young and are off of upside. What they're gonna be potentially doing in 2 years, 3 years. But a lot of these NFL contracts are quarterback contracts, that is, are starting to get there. Which at one point I was on the mindset the NFL pay you all what you currently do, not what you projected to do. Because so many things change in the NFL. Coaches change, schemes change, coordinators change, and you can have a coordinator here that make your quarterback look better than what he really is. I forget the coach name. He's in Carolina now, but he was the offensive coordinator in Seattle when Geno Smith first took over, and Geno Smith looked good. Then he ended up leaving, going down to Tampa, and becoming the offensive coordinator there, and then that's when Baker looked good, and Baker got paid off for looking good under this guy. So now I'm curious to see how is Baker Mayfield, and I understand Baker Mayfield ain't getting the type of money that these quarterbacks I just named getting, but I'm just curious to see how he gonna look now that the offensive coordinator made Geno Smith look good in Seattle and that made him look good in Tampa to get this money. How this gonna make him look now that he's gone and he's the head coach of Carolina now? I think his last name Canals, Dave Canals or something. I think that's his name. Um, but you paying the quarterback, you know what I mean? And it's compromising the rest of your team to some degree. Um, you Now you have some GMs that get out on top of things early and they structure things in the contract to where both parties benefit, but it also is flexibility for the team to make moves when they need to make it on the back end of that contract, so it won't tie them up to some degree. I think that's what happened. I had a brain freeze. The guy in Philly with the Eagles. I think that's what he's doing. I think that's how he's able to get this stack this talent. Not only just stack this talent and pay, but also be flexible with the draft picks and use those draft picks to replace what he's gonna lose. Um, and I think that's why the Eagles are in a good position now. They added Saquon in the offseason. Devontae Smith got his money. AJ Brown got his money. Of course, Jalen Hurts got his money. They drafted 2 cornerbacks. They already had Nolan Smith, one of the edge rushers out of Georgia. They had him over there. The Kobe Dean, he's over there. So Ringo, cornerback, he's over there. So they did a good job of replacing uh, certain talent, and having certain talent ready to go to the point that they could pay the quarterback and pay the key receivers like Devontae Adams and AJ Brown, and still be able to bring in Saquon in free agency, but a lot of GMs are not that smart to do that. And a lot of this, quarterback money, like I said, I was just on the fence of why quarterbacks can't get paid by performance. Because if you're looking at the money they making and looking at the stats that I just read out as far as their playoff record, because I mean, I'm not paying $55 million a year just for you to get me through 16, 17 regular season games. I want some wins in the playoffs. And looking at the playoff record of these guys that I just named, it's below 500, 17-20. In the most successful quarterback out of the group that I just named is Pat Mahomes, and he's getting paid 45, and he's tied with Kirk Cousins that only got one damn playoff win. So how the hell does that equate to a guy with 3 rings versus a guy with only one playoff win? Matter of fact, Pat Mahomes got more Super Bowl rings than Kirk Cousins got playoff wins. Three Super Bowl rings versus one playoff win. You know what I'm saying? So you're looking at that. How the hell does that justify that guy with one playoff win getting the same amount of money as the guy with three Super Bowl wins? It don't. And I get it. Atlanta was thirsty for a QB. And they went out there and then they took and they picked up Kirk Cousins in free agency. I think they paid him $180 million over 4 years. So it's $45 million a year. And I think Kirk Cousins, if I'm not mistaken, he has like 100 or a little over 100 million guaranteed out of that contract. But then they turn around and get Michael Penix with the 8th overall pick. So I guess they trying to go the Green Bay route. They trying to have an insurance policy already in play for the starter that they got in Kirk Cousins. And Michael Penix Jr. is also not last year, but he's had some injuries in his career too. So Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury. So I guess they're gonna have to go to the insurance policy sooner than later. But I still don't understand how 45 million can equate to one Super Bowl win, which is the same 45 million that Pat Mahomes is getting with 3 Super Bowl wins. Like I said, he got more. We're not even gonna talk about the wins. He just got three super. He got three. He got more Super Bowl wins than Kirk Cousins got playoff wins. And the one playoff win I told y'all that Kirk Cousins got came at the Saints. So and Pat Mahomes is going for a three-peat this year. They back to back. They going for a three-peat. It's hard to get to the Super Bowl, let alone win a three-peat, let alone get there to have a chance to three-peat. You know what I mean? It's hard to get to one. Then you're looking at Justin Herbert. And I think and I get it that the state. I'm not making no excuses for him, but he didn't have Staley out there and who made a bunch of bonehead decisions out there in LA as the Chargers head coach. I get it now. He got Harbaugh over there, so anxious to see how Harbaugh turn that around and get that going out there in the same division as Pat Mahomes. So you're gonna have Harbaugh versus Andy Reid. You're gonna have Herbert versus Mahomes in that division. And Sean Payton is also over there in that division. But I'm not putting Sean Payton in there yet. I gotta wait to see how they clean that up out there in Denver. Having give Russell Wilson a 5-year, $240-something million contract. That's almost $50 million a year. I think it's like 48, 49, something like that if you do the math. But then they turn around and pay $85 million just to get him the hell on. They didn't have a good season. He got benched the last few games of the season by Sean Payton. Sean Payton came out there and set the tone, cleaning out lockers and all this other kind of shit. So, he just didn't fit, and it didn't. The Sean Payton relationship and Russell Wilson relationship didn't work in Denver. Sean Payton's still there. Denver ended up paying $85 million for him not to play in Denver, to get the hell on, to go play somewhere else. So he got his money, and it didn't work out in Denver. And now they got Bo Nix out there who they just drafted. So I'm not even gonna put Sean Payton in that conversation with Andy Reid or Harbaugh, because I think that the time that Sean Payton took off between joining the Broncos and leaving the Saints, I think they kind of hurt him to some degree. Um, when you take time off like that from coaching, now I get he was commentating, and he was on, these sports shows or whatever commentating, but he wasn't actually on the sideline coaching. And that could take a hit because once you leave the game and come back, the game ain't the same that it was when you left that it is when you came back. And I think that's what's going on right now. You don't have a quarterback out there. He's starting over with a rookie. Thought he had something in Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson wasn't it. The chemistry wasn't there. And it was so bad out there in Denver that I was watching a couple games last year, and the crowd had to count down the game clock. So to avoid a damn and they still, I think, was the most penalized team um, uh, in the NFL as far as the layer games. You know what I mean? The crowd was out there counting down the game clock because they couldn't keep track of it. You know what I mean? That's how bad it was out there. But hey, that's neither here nor there. They ended up paying $85 million to get rid of Russell Wilson, to let him go somewhere else, and he out there in Pittsburgh now. And I think he's dealing with an injury. And Justin Fields is on the field taking the snap, taking the reps now with the first team. So now you in a situation out there in Pittsburgh where you don't know who your quarterback gonna be. You said Russ, now Russ hurt, and now it's Justin Fields. You're talking about Justin Fields gonna be out there returning punts. Now he has to play behind center because Russell Wilson is out dealing with an injury. This, that, and third. So now you got all that going on. But looking at, like I said, these quarterbacks making this money, they playoff record. You getting all this guaranteed money. I mean, Joy Love, 100 something mil fully guaranteed. Trevor Lawrence, 142 fully guaranteed. Joe Burrow, 140 something fully guaranteed. Tua, I don't think he has 100 mil, 100 fully guaranteed. Because they, probably got some incentives and stuff in this contract that kind of helps them out. They can move off a tour without it really hurting them on the back end. So I don't think he quite got 100 mil fully guaranteed. But Jared Goff is 170, close to 170, if not 170 guaranteed. Justin Herbert, 130 something guaranteed. Lamar Jackson, I think he got like a total of 185 total guarantees. But fully guaranteed is like close to 140 or something like that. Jalen Hurts, 170, 180 guaranteed. You know what I mean? Deshaun Watson, 230 fully guaranteed. You know what I mean? I just think that like these QBs, why I'm sitting there thinking like, why can't players get paid based off whether they're the best or not? If the quarterback is not the best player on the team, he shouldn't be getting paid that much money. Because you can look at certain teams and say that the quarterback is not the best player, so the quarterback's not making the team. You know what I mean? You got a lot to go into that. You might have a system in which you got a quarterback that plays in that makes him look much better in that system than he would outside of that system. If you, I'm not talking bad about Brock Purdy, but I'm just saying if you take Brock Purdy and put him with the Tennessee Titans, does he look the same in Tennessee that you see him looking in San Francisco? Some could say yeah because of the offensive weapons that you would now have at your disposal in Tennessee with signing Calvin Ridley, having DeAndre Hopkins there, and bringing in Tony Pollard. And having a pretty solid defense, not a great, but not a bad, pretty solid defense. Some would say yeah, some would say no. Taking him and putting him down in New Orleans, would he be the same Brock Purdy in New Orleans that you see in San Francisco? So a lot got to go into that. And Brock Purdy by far is not the best player on the team. There are guys that are on the team that are better. Christian McCaffrey is better. Deebo Samuel's better. Brandon Ayuk is better. But Brock Purdy is the quarterback. He fits the system. So, does Brock Purdy, even if Brock Purdy stays in San Francisco and doesn't have those weapons, would he still look good? And like I said, that's probably why I think they're not going to pay Brandon Ayuk because they run heavy and Brock Purdy just passes whenever he passes within the system. He don't go outside of what the system say do. They're not making him go outside of what the system say do. And then they got Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. Both of those guys are like two players in one. They both running back / wide receiver. You can line Debo up in the backfield when need be and hand the ball off to him. You can run him in formation and hand the ball off to him. You can split him out wide of receiver and pass the ball to him. Same thing with Christian McCaffrey. You can hand the ball off to him. He can run between the tackles, outside the tackles, or you can line him up somewhere differently in the formation, and you can actually pass the ball to him. And he can run routes like a receiver and catch like a receiver. I'm not saying that you can only just send Christian McCaffrey on screen passes and swing passes, but you can actually line him up in the slot, get him matched up one-on-one with a linebacker, beat the linebacker, and run a route like a receiver down the field and catch like a receiver. So he's a running back / wide receiver all in one. So, that's what makes me think that they not even going to pay Brandon Ayuk. They just going to string Brandon Ayuk along through camp, and probably utilize this. And like I said, they might even look at what I just brought up earlier about Judon out there in New England being disgruntled. They could bring Judon in for 1 year because I think that's why he's sitting out of camp or whatever is contract issue. So whatever team gets Judon, they're going to have to pay him. So, we looking at San Francisco, they could move off of Brandon Ayuk in a trade, bring back Judon, see how that goes for a year. You got Brandon Ayuk out of your hair. You don't have to worry about paying him. That's now New England's problem and issue to deal with. If you want to pay Judon, you can. If not, then you don't. And you just replace him in the draft because you already basically replaced Brandon Ayuk with the kid out of Florida and with like I said, Ricky Purcell. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. But they drafted him in the first round. So you already got your Brandon Ayuk replacement. So you now can afford to move Ayuk over to New England if that's the thing that you're trying to do. And I just brought that up. I haven't read that that's what's going to happen. I'm just bringing that up off the top of my head as I go along. Then, New England Patriots still have cap space to give Brandon Ayuk the type of deal that he's looking for. And maybe I did see rumors of Pittsburgh, but I don't know what Pittsburgh be willing to give up to get Brandon Ayuk outside of picks. I think for now, Judon would be a better deal than the picks because if you San Francisco, you trying to win one more before you have to be in a situation where you're paying all this money to Brock Purdy. And like I said, looking at Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and Jordan Love, $55 million a year. Where are you gonna pay Brock? What Brock Purdy gonna fall at? Is he gonna be 56, 57, 58? Where he gonna fall at? Do you feel comfortable paying him that kind of money? And I think they do because they found something Mr. Irrelevant that fits within their system. So I think they would be willing to pay him the top quarterback money if that's what he's asking. Looking at what he's done. Now the pressure gonna change once you get this money because now you're expected to perform. Like nobody was looking at Brock Purdy expecting him to do in San Francisco what he's done so far. He was the last pick of the draft. Nobody was thinking about the last pick of the draft. So he came in and he's outperformed his draft position, which was the last pick in the draft. He's been to a Super Bowl, and you could arguably say he would have went to another had he not got hurt. He stepped in and took over for the quarterback that San Francisco did trade all the way up to get in Trey Lance. Took over that job, never gave it back. Trey Lance is not even on the team no more. San Francisco has moved off of Trey Lance, and it's the Brock Purdy show. And they've been looking good since Brock Purdy's been in there. Now, you can say he a game manager or game, whatever you want to call him or whatever. He just been looking good in that situation. And I'm saying that he probably won't look that good outside of Kyle Shanahan. I don't know. We don't know because he got drafted by San Francisco, so this is the only team he's played for. So seeing him with the San Francisco 49ers is all we've been able to see because that's the only team he's played for. That's who drafted him. But all that is to be seen, to be said, or whatever, you know what I mean? But $55 million, they're going to have to start there. They got to start thinking about this now. They don't want to be jumping out on this at the last minute and wait till it's too late and end up being like Jerry in the Dak Prescott situation. Now you got CD holding out and Michael Parsons. You got 3 guys to pay. So you necessarily don't even want to be in that situation. If you San Fran, you want to capitalize on a good thing you got. You want to jump out on this thing as soon as possible. You may have to do just do what I just brought up. You may have to consider calling the New England Patriots and saying, "Hey, I know you got a rookie quarterback over there. Um, I know you got a veteran too in Jacoby Brissett. Uh, I don't think your wide receiver group is that good. Do you want Brandon Ayuk? You know what I mean? You got to pay him. They know you got to pay him. They got the cap space to pay him. Um, so you got a rookie coach over there and Gerard Mayo. So and you got a disgruntled player over there in Judon, who's probably their best player on the team. And the New England Patriots strong suit right now would probably be defense, even though I don't think they're gonna be that good this year. But if you had to pick a side of the ball in which they probably was the best on, they probably would be defense with Judon, and then you having the guy that's coming back that they drafted out of Oregon last year, and he was playing good until he tore his ACL, I think it was. Gonzalez out of Oregon, the cornerback. So you had a damn good corner in him until he got hurt. Uh, Kind of want to see how he bounced back. And Judon is at camp but not participating, which I don't understand that. If you ain't gonna participate, don't show. Being there and not participating is like, why you here? But that's neither here nor there. But they may have to call New England and see what's up with that. You know what I mean? Because New England is still one of a few teams that has got enough cap space at this point in the offseason to give Brandon Ayuk a contract if he gets traded over there. And I don't think they make that trade unless they are willing to pay Brandon Ayuk because they know Brandon Ayuk is looking to get paid. Um, Unlike San Francisco, you trade Judon over there. I don't know. Picks probably gonna be involved. Picks probably be involved. You can afford to have Judon for a 1 year rental because Judon he ain't young. He ain't old, but he ain't young either. Um, and it plays right into what you want to do. Um, uh, Replacing the DN that you lost and Chase Young, who didn't give you absolutely nothing of what you thought he was going to give you coming over there. In my opinion, that's be an upgrade over Chase Young. Um, and if you are a team like the San Francisco 49ers, who are the contenders, you're going to need that because you look at the teams that you may have to face in the playoffs, like a Detroit, um, in which you're going to need some pass rush. Uh, so yeah, it's just something to think about before you have to break out the Brinks truck and back it up for Brock Purdy. Uh, just a couple things to think about over there, and I just like I said, man, I always just thought about why the hell these NFL players they don't get paid by whether or not they're the best player or not. You know, just because you're the quarterback don't mean you're the best player. Like I just gave you a couple examples of guys getting paid, but they're not the best player on the team. Um, it's not the best player on the team. Tua by far is not the best player on his team, but he getting 53 million. They just read up Jalen Waddle. It was reports that Tyree Hill was looking for a new deal. Um, Look at Deshaun Watson. He's now not the best player in Cleveland. Um, Jalen Hurts, or Lamar, he's the best. And I'm talking about strictly offense. Because football is, of course, the two sides to the offense and defense. But you look at Lamar, he's the best offensive player they got. He's the MVP quarterback. So, but he still has a below 500 record in the playoffs. So I think that he gonna get his money. I mean, they getting their money obviously, but I'm still on the fence as to I think the best player should get paid the most. Looking at this money they getting paid, there's no reason that you should be these quarterbacks should have a combined uh below 500 record. And all these quarterbacks don't play each other every year. All these quarterbacks are not in the same division in which they play each other twice. Some of these are NFC quarterbacks, some of these are AFC quarterbacks. So a lot of these quarterbacks are not even gonna see each other until they make if they make it all the way to the Super Bowl because they ain't in the same conference. They don't play in the same division twice a year. Now you're looking at Trevor Lawrence, um, who's been well. First of all, he's in the AFC South. You got C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans in the AFC South. And since CJ Stroud entering his second season, last year he was a rookie. He's entering his second season, and he has just as many playoff wins in 1 year as Trevor Lawrence has since he's been in Jacksonville since being drafted. So if Trevor Lawrence is getting 55, what do you think CJ Stroud gonna get if CJ Stroud continue to play at the level or close to the level that he did his rookie year? What do you think he's gonna get when it's time for him to get paid? He's gonna be over 60. He's probably gonna be over 60. Justin Herbert. He has more playoff wins than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert don't even have a playoff win. Tua don't even have a playoff win. Jordan Love 1-1 in the playoffs. So this quarterback market is only gonna get out of hand. There's really no, you really can't even get a handle on this quarterback market. This shit is only gonna get out of hand. Like I said, when it's time to pay a guy like CJ Stroud, he's gonna be over 60. In his rookie season, he has just as many playoff wins as Trevor Lawrence had since he's been in Jacksonville. So, what you gonna do? This is a quarterback market. You can't even get a handle on this QB market no more. This shit is only gonna get bigger, and you can't get a handle on it because the money in this market is only gonna rise. It's only gonna keep going and going and going. One quarterback is gonna set the market again. The next quarterback up to get paid gonna reset the market again. Quarterback up next after him to get paid is gonna reset the market again. It's just gonna keep going. Like, at what point are you gonna be like, damn, man, and it's gonna compromise a lot of these other positions. If you're trying to pay a quarterback and you're trying to pay two receivers, what money you gonna have for protection of the quarterback along the offensive line? What money you gonna have to spend on the defense? Unless you damn good at drafting. And even if you're good at drafting, like how often do you expect a rookie to come in and take right off? You got to understand, rookies gonna come in and have a rookie. They're going to have a learning curve. It could go two ways with a rookie. A rookie could come in and just play freely and have a good season, or a rookie could come in, struggle, and then pick it up towards the back end of the season. But if he come in and pick it up towards the back end of the season, is that enough for a contending team? But you got some rookies that come in and they just play because there ain't no pressure on them to live up to the hype because they are rookies. So they come in and they just play free and they look better. But now that they have a good rookie season, they come into their second year, they are now looked at to do close to, if not the same thing they did their rookie year. And that's when a lot of people had a sophomore slump. So, you paying a quarterback and then you trying to pay his weapons. What money you gonna have for the offensive line protection? And if you winning the amount of games you should be winning, you're not gonna be drafting high enough to get that. Now I get it, guys fall in the draft. You got first round talent that fall to the second round talent that fall to the third. You got guys and teams that make moves and trade up and trade back, this, that, and third, and people fall lower than they was projected to fall, or they get taken sooner than they was projected to get taken, this, that, and third, and somebody fall down the board that wasn't supposed. I get all that. But you got to have a good GM. And if you smart, to me, with the way this quarterback market is going, I think it would be wise to invest in a good GM to kind of so you can have get ahead of this. You know what I mean? You don't want to just have a GM just to have a GM. You want to have somebody that know what the hell they doing because the quarterback market is getting out of hand. You're gonna soon be having quarterbacks making $60 million a year. Now, how you gonna manage the cap paying a quarterback $60 million? Then you got a receiver you want to keep. You may have a DN or a left tackle you want to keep. You may have a corner you want to keep. You got to have an identity of what you want to do with your team. You got to have an identity of how to draft well. You got to pick a side of the ball to start on. You got to identify the guys that are must keeps and must haves, and then you have to identify who you're gonna keep and who's replaceable via draft. And if they are replaceable via draft, you need to be smart enough to understand and know when to move off of these guys when their value is at the highest, so we can get the most back in return for them, so we can use that to either move up or trade down to get more assets to select a player to replace him, or get off of that money or whatever the case may be, looking into who's going to be a free agent and how we can afford this free agent to replace the one that we no longer see in our future. I think you got to have smart GMs with the way that this quarterback market is going, and you got a lot of people that are thinking that some players are going to take discounts. Nobody's taking discounts. Nobody. You have good free agents. I mean, you got some good available free agents now, and I bet they free agents because they won't take a discount. Justin Simmons is still out there, all pro safety. He's still out there primarily because he won't take a discount. Stephon Gilmore, who could be a good solid number two on somebody's team. I don't think he's a number one no more, but he's still a good solid number two if you have a number one. Won't take a pay cut. That's primarily why he's still a free agent. Xavier Howard probably won't take a pay cut. That's why he's still a free agent. So nobody's taking hometown discounts no more, especially when they seeing quarterbacks about they $55 million a year now, soon about to be making $60 million a year. So I think you need to take and invest in a good GM that know how to get out on top of this, that know how to better manage the cap, that knows what they got a vision, that know what side of the ball they want to start on, that knows how to identify what players they want to be a part of the team future, what players they don't. They got to have a good GM that knows how to play players' value up and then move off of them at the deadline to get the best back in return while the value is still high, to replace that player with the guy in the draft, or either just moving his money off the books and setting it up going into the offseason to get the free agent to replace him. You got to have a smart GM now. You can't just have a GM that's thinking that guys is going to take pay cuts now because they want to stick around. You know, guys want to get their money now. Quarterbacks, like I said, are soon to be making $60 million a year. You're looking at a guy that's making $60 million a year, and you're looking around the team and be like, he ain't even the best player on this team. And then you look at the records that I just read out of these guys, they below 500. So it's like, why the hell are we giving $60 million and they below 500? You could pay less than $60 million, less than 50, less than 40, and get below 500 performance in the playoffs. You can do just enough to get in the playoffs and lose, and get a below 500 record in the playoffs instead of paying $60 million to do enough to get in the playoffs and still lose. You know, they not taking them hometown discounts no more. You know what I mean? These guys want their money. You know what I mean? I think the only guys that will consider taking discounts are guys that have maybe 2 years left in the league and they just ring chasing. And they still can bring something to a contending team and they just ring chasing and they're taking these smaller deals because they know they're about to be out the league in 2 years tops. And they trying to ring chase. They either trying to get another ring or they're trying to get their first ring. And they're going to contenders who could better assist them in doing that. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody out here taking them damn pay cuts no more. Not the way the NFL is going. You know, when I get it, they got a lot of rules out there now protecting the quarterbacks. You can't hit them here, you can't hit them there. I mean, it's like, you know, and you still can get hurt. You know what I mean? You can get hurt during a non-contact play. I mean, you can tear your Achilles without anybody tackling you or touching you. You could tear an ACL without anybody tackling you or touching you. You can roll an ankle, break an ankle without anybody, you know, a leg or anything like that. I mean, you can do freaky stuff out here without being is non-contact. So that's the rules is helping, but it's not guaranteeing. It's helping, but it's not guaranteeing that injury won't happen. It'll help, but it won't guarantee that. So, you know, these guys not taking these hometown discounts no more. So I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Like, why can't some of these NFL quarterbacks, why can't the NFL pay players based off whether they're the best player or not? You know, you got somebody on the team that's the best player on the team, they ain't even getting paid top dollar. You're looking at the New York Giants. The best player on offense right now is a damn rookie, Malik Nabers. It ain't even the damn quarterback in Daniel Jones. And like I said, he getting 40 million or 40 something million. And a rookie who they just drafted in this past draft is already the best player on the offensive side of the ball. A rookie. To the point where you couldn't even pay Saquon no more. And I think Saquon wanted to be a Giant. But he wasn't taking a pay cut to stay there because he wanted to be a Giant. You know, at the end of the day, it's business for the players, just like it's business for these franchises, these organizations, these owners. They looking at the money too. If I'm gonna be out here risking my health, getting banged up, then yeah, I want to get paid. I want to stay here, but I also want to get paid. And if you don't want to pay me, I got to make a business decision for myself and my family that I got to go somewhere else if they gonna pay me and you not. I'm giving you the opportunity to pay me, but you ain't paying me because you got so much money tied up in this guy that you can't pay me, or you don't want to pay me, or whatever the case may be. But you got all this money tied up in this guy, and I ain't getting mine. I want to be here, but I can't sit here and not get paid. At the end of the day, I got to get paid. Just like you want to make money, I want to make money and get paid too. So I just think that, man, in my opinion, I think the NFL need to pay players based on whether they the best player or not. You know what I mean? Because the quarterback market is getting out of hand, and you soon gonna have to. The best thing about your organization is gonna have to be your general manager. He's gonna have to know how to manage the cap. He's gonna have to know how to get out on top of this. He's gonna have to know which direction the team is going. He's gonna have to instantly identify whether this player or not is gonna be part of the future. If not, he's gonna have to play that player's value up, or even if that player's value is already at his highest, he's gonna have to move off of him, get the assets, go in and get his replacement in free agency, or get the assets and draft his replacement, or get out on top of it and draft his replacement a year or two ahead prior. They're gonna have to know how to structure these contracts so you won't be like Denver paying $85 million to get rid of a player. You have to identify what you're going to do, and you're going to have to do it. So the most important part of a franchise is about to be soon the GM, because he's gonna have to know how to manage this. Because this quarterback market is only going to increase and get higher and higher. It's already at 55 a year. But like I said, Love, Trevor Lawrence, and Joe Burrow, it's gonna soon be at 60. So yeah, the most valuable piece in the organization is about to soon be the general manager, because he gonna have to, he gonna have to know how to fix and organize this. If not, you're gonna be all fucked up. You get a general manager in there that don't know what he's doing, you're gonna be all fucked. You're gonna be paying the wrong players. You're gonna catch hell getting off of them. You're gonna make the wrong trade. Then when you try to move off the player, you ain't gonna be able to get the asset back in return that you thought, because his value ain't high enough. You have to release him and not get nothing for him. You have to manage the cap, because if you ain't got the cap space to go into free agency to get what you need to get, you're gonna be held. You're gonna be fucked. I'm telling you, the general manager is now gonna probably have to be one of the most valuable things about your franchise that's not on the field, because he's gonna have to know how to manage this. That's what's gonna have to happen. That's exactly what's gonna have to happen. And if I'm these teams, I would go more into investing into that. That's what I would do, because you soon. Looking at these numbers, bro, you soon gonna have to. That's what you soon gonna have to do. That's what you soon gonna have to do. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for tuning in with me today, man. Episode 10. Um, we still got a lot coming up. Football season hasn't started yet. We got the Hall of Fame game coming up this week, Thursday. The Bears and the Texans. And then after that, you're gonna have everybody else in the league playing preseason. Um, so you know what I mean. It's gonna be an interesting season. A lot of money being made by these QBs. And like I said, man, the best thing about your franchise is gonna have to soon be your GM, because they're gonna have to manage this. Um, they really going to manage this, because it's about to get out of hand. But man, that's my time for today, man. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Until the next one, you can head over to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Damn YouTube Sports Talk. Head over to IG. Follow my personal page if you choose to. Ralph_Sneaks. Damn_YouTube Sports Talk. That's the sports page, and then you head over to Twitter at Damn YouTube Sports Talk. Everything is down below. It's scrolling down below. Just head over there, follow, subscribe. Head over YouTube, subscribe to the page. Until the next episode, man. I'll see y'all. Peace.